Hey, so it's day 3 of the June Reset Challenge, and today is all about creativity. So, we've been working through different practices through the week, and we did the inner wisdom meditation on Monday, which I've I've been using every day since, and I've found it so beneficial to use at the beginning of the day, but also to help to reconnect throughout the day. And I'm finding it a really valuable practice that I'm going to kind of bring into my day to day and really focus on doing it more often. And then the exercise that we did yesterday on zooming out, which was the control circle, that was really a powerful one. And I think a lot of people might find this really interesting, the kind of depth of it, because we're always talking about, the power of what we can do, like how much control we really have. And it's an important one when it comes to personal development or making progress, because if we're trying to make progress and it's difficult for us to assess how much impact we can have, how much difference we can make, how much further forward we can get, then it really clouds your ability to judge how much time you invest in something. So, being able to differentiate between the things that you can control, like your response, your behavior, your actions, your planning, things you can influence, which are how you might encourage or support or nurture others, but they can accept or ignore what you offer. And then the things which you cannot control, which are all of the kind of global issues. And there is some kind of flexibility in all of that, because you never really know how much you can control until you see the outcome. So, an example of this that I mentioned on Instagram today was about how um, I am an executive contributor on Brains magazine. So, I regularly write articles that are published there. And yesterday I found out the exciting news that I'm a recipient of the CREA Global Awards, which is fantastic. And it's a recognition of social entrepreneurs, small businesses like mine who work in different areas. And for my field, it's kind of more focused on mental health. And it kind of came out of the blue. But at the same time, it's recognition of work that I've been putting in all along. So it's relevant along the lines of think about where we have control, but also that we have blind spots, and that the outcome to the effort that we put in isn't necessarily within our perspective, within our view. And we may not know until much later on, after we've been working and going for a long time, about the impact that we've had. So that's where it's an important point to stay present. And that's what leads us into creativity today, because creativity is that place where it opens up possibilities. And there's quite a lot of evidence, and a really good person to look into on this, if you kind of want to read further, is Martha Beck, because she talks a lot about how creativity and anxiety can't coexist. So if you're feeling anxious, it's almost impossible to be creative, because you have to get into that flow. You have to get into that kind of, I was going to say mindset. It's more of a flow, more of a kind of flexibility, more of a way of being. And when you're creative, you're focused on the present, your intention, what you're trying to bring to life. And so it can provide a space of, perhaps some sanctuary from stress and anxiety, but also a place where creating feels playful, as opposed to the idea of kind of trying to make progress, trying to set a goal and move towards it. If we think about it in those sort of terms, it feels very like a chore. It's not something that you aspire to. It's not something that you're excited about. So, to start off with the intention for today, give yourself permission to just dream expansively. It's about opening up the space, Al, and visualizing your ideal future without any limits. So think about how authenticity requires knowing what lights you up. It's about getting in touch with that. Let your imagination run free and think about, what are the big aspirations that you have. So, this is a visualization exercise. So, I want to give you a minute to kind of get comfortable, release everything, be present. And if you feel that you are able and comfortable to, then just close your eyes. So I want you to set the scene that it's December 31st, 2025. So the year is coming to an end. You're feeling incredibly fulfilled, aligned, and proud of the last 6 months. Just let that settle in. I want you to consider the image. Describe this ideal scene in detail. Just want you to visualize it, to hold it. What are you doing? Who are you with? How are you feeling? What have you achieved? What are you proud of? Just take some time to think about what that looks like. Those things that you have done. Now think about, what does your daily life look like? And when you're thinking about your daily life, just use all your senses. This is your dream. This is your ideal way of spending your time, your daily life. Visualize it. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? Just let that settle in. Think about the image, the background to it, all of the ways your senses are engaged in it. And now, release it. Gently open your eyes and come back into the space. And if you'd like to, now you could pause the video and do some journaling. And come back to those questions if you want and actually write your answers to them so you have them there. But just let it all flow. Okay, so once you've done that, think about 3 to 5 words that capture the essence of how you want to feel or what you want to have achieved in the next 6 months. Okay, so you can write that down. and then consider 3 or 5 ideas or projects that would bring more of this essence into your life. And this isn't about having or holding any judgment around those projects or ideas. This is all up to you. So, you can think in terms of, you can go as wide as you want, or you can think about projects that are more focused on your health and well-being. They could be small around, they might seem small around thinking about how you want to spend your time. But if you're getting real about how you want to spend your time, that might be a bigger picture about where you want to be, how you want to work, where you want to work. Thinking about doing that in the kind of wildest terms possible. It's letting that free, it's letting that go wild. This is creativity. It's not about being anchored in reality. It's about dreaming. It's giving ourselves space to dream, because that is a space that we seldom use with any intentionality. Sure, we might daydream, we might kind of think about how nice it would be to go and live on a tropical island when we're on the bus on the way home. But let's actually think, what would we like our daily lives to look like? Because we know that changes can happen to us throughout our lives, and we can always kind of work towards these ideas of, if I only earn more money, if I only have the right salary, if I only had the right situation, the right partner, the right life. But there's always a distance between where we are and where we want to be. And if you can take responsibility and ownership for thinking about how you want to spend your time now, then you have clarity on what you are already doing and what you want that to look like. It brings that distance between where we are and where we want to be into a place of clarity. And even if it's wild, that you think it's wild, my point is that I didn't know that I was going to get an award yesterday morning, but I put in a lot of work and effort that meant that that was coming to me. And so if we are showing up, doing the things that matter to us, if we are passionate, if we are engaged, then that in itself, spending our time in that way, is really the essence of where we want to be. That's the essence of authenticity. How do we get there? And actually, it might not be as far away from your reality as you think. And that's the other interesting thing about this exercise, is that actually when you put it down and you look at it, the things that are most important to us aren't living on a tropical island somewhere far away. They're things like being able to exercise when I want to, or having time to exercise, being able to spend more time with my children, having more flexibility in my day to day. So things that may be more within your control than you realise, but it's only when you actually look at it and examine it and get creative and get into it that you can give yourself the space to really dream, which we never do, especially as adults. We never think about, what is my dream? What's the dream that I want to achieve? So for me, my dream was to work for myself, to work directly with clients, to write, to speak, to talk about the things that are important to me, and really raise the issue of female empowerment. And so that's what I'm doing. That's the payoff in itself. That's the most important thing. And so the way that I'm spending my time is the reflection of success in what I'm doing, because that was the main focus for what I wanted to do. Now, okay, sure, we need to earn money, we need to do certain things, and we can put extra pressure on ourselves around what that looks like. But unless we've got clarity on what are our ambitions, where do we want to go, then nothing will come together. We've got to be led by authenticity. And we've got to believe in that as well, because sometimes it's hard. It can be hard going. And then suddenly there's a payoff. This is the point. And it's quite difficult for us to predict when the payoff will be. But if we're using these tools, if we're showing up authentically, if we're compassionate towards ourselves, if we're living with purpose, then we can use the tools to stay on track, which is around really perseverance, which is the recipe for success. So pulling those together is really the key to your own personal growth, personal development, being able to live your life in the way that you want on your terms. So have a look at those questions, come back to them if you want. Make sure you download and use the workbook. The key takeaways from day 3 are for you to go away and think about what's the most exciting or surprising thing that you envisioned today. Okay, what was the most exciting thing? What came up that seemed like a surprise, but it'll be interesting to dig into that a bit more. Is that really so wild? Is that really so unachievable? And what's one feeling I want to cultivate more of in the next 6 months? So just bring a kind of quality of feeling around that. Think about how you can describe that. What does it look like? Really get into the detail of it. Think clearly about how you want to feel. Because so often it's like, oh, I'd like to do this, but I can't afford it. Or I'd like to do that, but I haven't got the time. Drop all of that. What's the feeling? What's the essence that you want to cultivate more of? Okay, so on that note, we'll leave it there for today, looking at creativity. Make sure you download the workbook, get involved in the comments, and I will see you again soon. Bye.